Mr. Stonyfoe and Miss Jenny Foe and any other witnesses that are going to testify, please raise your right hands.
My sister's working inside. That's where I'm at, sitting inside in front of her building. If she can testify, I didn't know if she could or couldn't.
Well, she can, but she's got to be there to be under oath.
Oh,
What's she going to testify to?
well, she's been right there through the whole process of everything because me and Jenny, we had joint custody of Elijah, 50-50 down the middle, 7 on, 7 off. The kids were with me most of their life. 3 weeks out of a month, they were with me. I never asked anything from her. And you know, that's how it was done. And
Right.
she
Well, I
even
tell you
helped
what,
me.
when we get toward the end of the hearing, if I think I need more testimony, I'll let you go get your sister. Okay.
Yes, sir. That'll work.
All right, Ms. Brown-Zito, your witnesses have been called. Do you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
All right, you call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I would call Miss Foe. Will you please state your name?
Jenny Folks.
And we're here today to talk about your children, Jolie and Elijah. Is that correct?
Yes.
How old are they?
Jolie is 22. Elijah is 17.
Who do they live with?
Me.
Do they primarily live with you?
Yes.
Okay. The last order that was done, it was in 2013, a final decree of divorce.
Yes, that's correct.
And you're here to try to modify that to what he is making now.
Correct.
Could you tell me how the children are covered for health insurance?
Medicaid.
Do they have any other insurance other than state insurance?
No.
How long have they had that for a while?
Yes.
Okay. And are you still in agreement with this court order that set child support based on a gross monthly wage of $3,933.41?
Is that like yearly, or was that
Monthly.
the one they did? Oh, 3,000 monthly?
$39.33 monthly gross.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
With the order that you signed.
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, do you know if he has any other minor children? Ms. Folk?
You talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Your Honor, I would pass this witness.
Call your next witness.
I would call Mr. Foe. Will you please state your name?
My name is Tony Folks.
And where do you work?
I work at Brian's Automotive. I've been there for 10 years.
So you've been there. Do you get paid hourly or do you get paid a salary?
I get paid hourly. It's like $13 an hour, but for every car that comes in, I get paid a little bit more. Sometimes my check's only $500 a week. Sometimes it's a little bit more. It ain't a set thing.
Okay. Do you get paid? You say you get paid weekly?
I do get paid weekly.
Do you have insurance available for your children through your work?
No, ma'am, I don't. I got insurance for myself, and I had a mild stroke back in January, and the bills are eating me up right now. And the kids was with me most from 2013 all the way up till this past year. They were with me most of the time. My daughter, that's 22, that has a baby, she had her own place for 3 years.
Hey, Mr. Poe. Mr. Poe.
Yes, sir.
Wait for Ms. Brown-Zito to ask you a question, okay?
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
But at this time, they're living with their mom?
They're
Yes,
not.
ma'am.
There's only one child left, Ms. Brown-Zito.
There are two, Your Honor.
One of them is 23.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So Elijah lives with his mom?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Right now he does. because me and my daughter, well, I'll let you.
Your Honor, I would pass. Do you have any other minor children other than Elijah? Mr. Foe?
No, ma'am, I don't. Just Jolie and Elijah.
Okay, I would pass the witness, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
I would call Ms. Shaw.
Is she going to testify to what's in the CSRP?
She's going to testify to what his wages are. I mean, we're happy with going forward with what is in the CSRP, but she's going to
been
testify.
sworn. Go ahead.
Would you please state your name?
I'm Shaw.
And where do you work?
I work for the Office of the Attorney General,
How long have you worked there?
29 years.
And what is your current title that you hold?
I am a financial specialist.
And in your capacity in your different roles that you've had, have you had occasion to review the wages of our customers?
I have.
And did you do so in this case?
I did.
What did you learn as far as Mr. Foe?
I learned that another government entity provided wages in the amount of $12,696 for the first quarter of 2023. Same government entity provided the fourth quarter of 2022 wages of $12,356.80. Third quarter of 2022, $12,952.40. Second quarter of 2022, $12,552.70 for an approximately monthly gross of $3,434.95.
Do you have any recommendations for an amount for medical support?
That can't be right. Ms. Shaw, didn't you just say that he was getting over $12,000 a quarter?
Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't that be over $4,000 a month? There's 3 months in each quarter, right?
Yes, sir.
If he's making over 12,000 in each quarter, that would be 4,000, not 34.
You're correct. My apologies.
Yeah, just the math wasn't adding up.
$4,213.16.
Go ahead, Ms. Brown-Zito.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Call you next week.
I have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. So, Ms. Foe, I got some questions. You ready?
Sir.
All right. So what Mr. Foe said is correct. And your original divorce decree, y'all were given a joint custody order where you were doing week on and week off. Is that correct?
Yes, originally, yes, that was the.
But now one of your children is emancipated and Elijah is the only child left under the age of 18. Is that also correct?
Correct.
And Elijah's living with you.
Correct.
Does Elijah go visit with Mr. Foe?
Occasionally.
All right. About how often would you say that he goes to visit?
Maybe a couple times a month.
Okay. And when he's over there a couple times a month, is he over there for the weekend? Is he over there for a week? I mean, how does the visitation go?
Usually no more than a day or two. Usually
Okay.
just a day.
So would it be safe for me to say, according to your testimony, Ms. Foe, that Elijah is no longer going week to week with his father?
That's correct.
And how long has that been going on? How long has it been since Elijah stopped going over spending week to week with his dad?
Since January of 2017.
2017.
Yes, sir.
Now, would it be safe for me to say that during that time period, that's when did the other child stop coming to spend week to week with you at that time?
They both stopped spending week to week with him at that time in January of 2017.
All right. Well, I mean, I can't go back in time and fix that. All I can do is what I can do today. You understand?
Yes, sir.
No. Do you know why Elijah stopped going to spend week to weeks with his dad?
At the time that they stopped, he was living with a woman, and she had two boys, and they were getting into altercations with our boy.
Okay.
And then they were having our daughter, which is older, babysit their kids a lot. And then something happened between the two of them, and the lady threw all my kids' stuff out in the rain. And so my kids were just upset and just decided they didn't want to go week to week anymore.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Foe. Mr. Foe, just for the record, now, according to what you said, and you are correct, the court order says that you're supposed to have your kids week to week with Ms. Foe, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. But that hasn't been happening with Elijah for the last several months. Is that correct?
No, Elijah spent the night with me over the weekend, and
Okay.
he drives back and forth.
Is he spending a week on with you and then a week with Miss Foe?
Actually, not right now, not at this
Okay.
moment, not at this time. We was me and my
And
daughter.
how long
was
has it
planning on-
been? How long has it been, Mr. Foe, since Elijah actually spent a week with you at a time?
What about two? He lived the whole year with me in 2021,
Okay.
the whole year,
But
and then she
listen,
let her dog.
Mr. Foe, I understand that there's a story you want to tell me, but I need you to understand that I can't hear your story. Okay. I have to hear what's going on now, today, not what
Okay.
happened 2 years ago, because this lawsuit was just filed last month.
I know.
All right. So, and that I'm assuming based on the testimony of Ms. Foe, that that's the reason why it was filed, was because Elijah's no longer staying with you week to week. So just answer my question if you can.
Elijah would come with me. He would live with me if I had my own place. I'm taking care of my mom
Okay.
right now.
Okay. So even if you had, I mean, he would come stay with you, but he can't right now because of your living conditions.
I just need another room. Yeah,
Huh?
and he would.
How long
mean,
how long have you been staying in the current situation that you're in now?
A year now.
Okay.
Yes, a year.
Oh.
I got my sister right here. Like you said, if you needed a.
Well, is she gonna tell me
ask her.
something different about what you've been doing the last year with Elijah?
Do you want to?
No. That's not what I asked. I didn't ask her. I asked you. Is she gonna tell me something different than what you just told me? She gonna contradict what you just said?
No. Elijah does what he wants. Elijah does what he wants. He comes back and forth.
There you go. Is there anything else, Mr. Foe, that you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
And before she filed that motion, the only thing I have that was left over, I gave my kids land. I signed over land that I could probably sold for $70,000. I wanted them to have something good. I'm the one that I'm in the schools. I'm the one that goes to the art meeting. Today, if it wasn't for me, Elijah wouldn't be here, because I'm the one that took him to the doctor. I'm the one that kept insurance on him. My sister is the one that helped me get insurance on him because she didn't hold her end up.
Right. Okay. You know, here's the thing, Mr. Foe, I need you to understand. All right. There's lots of things that happened between 2013 and 2023.
This is 21 when all this happened, when I had him in school in Lumberton, and he was with me for the whole year.
Right. Are you done, or you'll keep interrupting me?
Sorry.
See, the problem is, Mr. Foe, is that you've had years in order to try to take care of something on this for yourself, and you didn't. And I understand it's just not something that's pressing, but it's pressing now. And so I have to rule on the motion that's in front of me today. I can't rule on something that you wished you had filed. Okay. The simple facts is that your divorce in 2013 split the custody of these children so that they were week on with you and week on with the mother. Now, one of those children is no longer a child. She's 23 years old or 22 years old, one of the others. So she's not a child anymore. Her circumstances, while they're important, they're not important to me because she's no longer a minor in my court. You understand? Only Elijah is important to me now.
Right.
The simple fact of the matter is your divorce decree gave you week on and week off, but y'all are not exercising. You're not exercising week on and week off.
Well, Elijah, when he started driving, he was going back and forth to my house.
Well, but even by your own testimony, Mr. Foe, you said he's not living.
Well, he would come over. He'll come over to my house and stay for 2 or 3 days. He might stay at his cousin's house for 2 or 3 days because it's summer. go to
Right.
my sister's house. They stay over at my sister's house all the time.
Oh,
All the time. Not his mom, over
Right.
there at my sister's. And time on medical bills. Well, I don't know if you want to hear that.
Well, I mean, it's important to you, Mr. Foe, but it doesn't have anything to do with how it's at the child support. I mean, your bills are your bills.
Anything that the kids they need, I always gave to them.
And
Always.
Mr. Foe,
And
I
they were
want you
with
to-
me. They were with me all the time. And they're still, they come.
Then you should have filed a lawsuit, Mr. Foe, yourself to get it changed. I can't go back in time and make the facts are what they were 3 or 4 years ago, or even 2
Well,
years.
the child support, I was only paying like $60 a month. If
Right.
that.
Well, that's about to change.
I don't know what to do. I guess I can give up insurance, give my truck up.
Ms. Brown Zito, in this divorce decree, does either parent have the right to establish the primary residence? Do you know off the top of your head, Ms. Brown?
I do not. I'm pulling it up. I've just pulled it up, Your Honor.
That's all right. Thank you.
I'm looking through that right now.
They don't. I'm just wanting to see if you knew.
And the land I gave them, our house burnt down in 2013.
This,
And
Mr.
it's
Foe,
just been a
I
nightmare.
don't mean to keep interrupting you, Mr. Foe. This is not about whether or not you're a good parent. This is not about whether or not you think that you're doing what you're supposed to do to support your kids. Child support is about you paying child support to the parent who's primarily caring for the children. You giving land to your children is not helping Miss Foe at all.
Well, it ain't about that. What about the whole year that he was with me in 2022? When
Did
she
you
said
file-
that
Did you file a lawsuit, Mr. Foe, to change the order?
I didn't have to. I mean, why should I? I mean,
But the AG's
Okay, well-
office did.
okay, well, let me ask you this. If he
Did you
was with me
apply?
a year,
Did you apply to the AG's office to ask them to change your court order?
no, sir, I didn't.
She did.
What about letting her daughter claim taxes when she did not Jolie, but I raised her daughter, and she never went after the other guy for child support. She got an older daughter.
So we're
Claim
talking about,
Elijah.
now we're talking about your child. You're asking me questions about why your child didn't do something?
Hang on, what? No, I'm talking about like when Elijah was with me in 21. She let her daughter that was living with her.
I don't know who
Cassie
she
Patch.
is. I don't know
It's
who she
Cassie, Cassie Patch. That's Jenny's daughter. She had a daughter before Elijah and Jolie. I
Okay.
raised her.
Right.
Okay, she let Cassie claim Elijah
Huh,
in 21
huh.
and says she supported him, and
Okay.
she did not support him at all.
So what you're saying is that the mother, Miss Foe, allowed some third person to claim
Yes,
your
sir.
child. Let me ask the question, okay? We're on the record here, Mr. Foe. Y'all are all under oath.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can turn this whole video over to a federal prosecutor and see if they want to prosecute the crime I'm about to ask about.
Yes, sir.
So you're telling me that some third party was allowed to claim a child not their own on their federal income taxes?
Yes, sir.
All right. I am not a federal judge, Mr. Foe. I'm a state district judge. I don't have any authority over federal law.
Okay,
Right.
I'm with you. Okay.
All right. Anything further, Ms. Brown Zito?
No, Your Honor.
Well, I don't like the fact that nobody has primary custody.
My
But
kids can testify. They're
To
old
what?
enough. I
To
mean, if
what?
you want to ask them question, how many times Elijah sees me?
I asked you, and you said that he's not spending week to week with you like he was before. You said he didn't want to. or
No,
couldn't because-
he comes
Mr.
over
Foe.
here because
Mr. Foe, did you not just tell me that based on your living arrangements currently, that Elijah didn't want to stay with you week to week because of where you live and taking care of your mother? Isn't that what you
well,
said?
he comes. I did say that, sir.
Well,
I mean, but he
So now
comes
you want to
and
contradict
stays over
yourself?
there. No, sir, I don't. All right.
You see, I mean, that's where it go. I got to take you for what you said. I have to assume that what you told me is the truth. You can't change
But
it
he
up,
said-
Mr. Foe.
He sees me a lot more than what she's relying.
Well,
And
I'm
he does say
glad.
that.
I'm glad.
And I'm in their
I'm glad
life.
you're an involved parent. I am. I think that's great.
I was in all their counseling. The school put me as #1 household
Right.
parent for all the schools, for all the meetings. I take off work. I miss work. And I go to all their counseling. I went to all their ARD meetings. She didn't go to none of them but one. And I'm the one that changed him from Silsbee School to Lumberton because I wanted to keep a better eye. She almost got sued twice because she couldn't get Elijah to school when he was with her.
Anything further, Ms. Brownzito?
No, Your Honor.
I'm going to confirm the child support order according to what's been filed with the court today. I'm going to make the amendment that the new numbers are not going to start until July the 1st of 2023. Y'all shouldn't file lawsuits, Ms. Brownzito, at the end of May and expect to have a hearing in the case within 10 days. That's probably something y'all shouldn't do. Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Foe and Mr. Foe, they're going to send me an order as long as it matches what I said here today. I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Let's see, this appears to be an acknowledgement.
I wish you
of
both the
paternity,
best
Ms.
of luck.
Brownzito, that you filed back in May.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Your case has been called. You can call your first witness.
Your Honor, at this time I would call Ms. Crump. Will you please state your name?
Nadia Crump.
And we are here today to talk about your daughter, Jasmine. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How old is Jasmine?
Jasmine is 3 years old.
And who does she primarily live with?
Jasmine lives with me.
And do you live in Hardin County?
That is correct.
And has she lived there primarily
Yes.
at least 6 months?
Yes.
Okay. Now, who is her father?
Samuel Garcia.
And at the time when Jasmine was born, did you and Mr. Garcia sign some paperwork saying that he was her father?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would offer the acknowledgement of paternity as to not.
I've
as
just
to
placed on the screen a copy of the alleged acknowledgement of paternity for the child Jasmine. Is it okay if I take a look at this acknowledgement?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Garcia, same question. Is it okay if I look at Jasmine's acknowledgement?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit A is admitted into evidence.
Now, how is Jasmine covered for health insurance?
Jasmine is covered through Texas Medicare.
Okay. And since Jasmine was born, have you and Mr. Garcia lived together?
Yes, we did for 9 months.
So when exactly did you stop living together?
We stopped living together November, December.
Would that be in
2020?
2020? Okay.
Yes, 2020.
Since that time, has Mr. Garcia been giving you any sort of financial help for Jasmine?
Yes.
Okay. And so based on that, at this time, you're not asking for back child support as far as Garcia? Okay. Do you have any safety concerns with
I would like to request Samuel Garcia to be enlisted in anger management, because there has been times where his anger has been out of control, and I would just like to request that before we continue with any sort of visitation with Jasmine Garcia, just for her safety.
Okay, well, the question I was trying to ask you, do you have concerns for your safety or that of Jasmine's safety with having your address placed in the court order?
No.
Do you have any other safety concerns about Mr. Garcia with visitation?
Yes.
And what are those concerns?
As I mentioned, his anger is out of control at some point. So I never know what to expect with his anger.
Does he visit with Jasmine now?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. When was the last time that he visited with Jasmine?
His Jasmine's grandmother would take her to their house, and I'm assuming that he would see her then.
Okay, and that's so you don't have problems with Jasmine seeing her grandmother?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time you had some sort of anger problem with Mr. Garcia?
I would have to say about maybe 2 weeks ago, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I called him and asked if he could buy Jasmine some body wash or some hygiene products for Jasmine, and it just went in a whole different direction, and I could not get an answer out of him. He blocked me as far as calling wise and contacting him, and it just went into a whole different direction than I expected.
So as far as child support, you're okay with starting child support from here forward?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have have concerns with him being able to take Jasmine on visitation by himself?
Can we set up some sort of anger management classes for him, and then after those are completed, then we can start some sort of visitation, just so we can get under
So that is what you would like the judge to do, is order anger management?
Yes, please.
Do you know if Mr. Garcia has any other minor children?
I think he has one on the way.
Okay. Well, I will pass this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Call your next witness.
And I will call Mr. Garcia. Will you please state your name?
Samuel Garcia.
And you are Jasmine's father, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you working?
Yes, ma'am. At the moment, no. I took the day off to do this.
But where do you work?
I work with Bowman Contractors out in Bay City, Texas.
Okay. And do you get paid by the hour or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is your hourly rate?
$30 an hour.
And do you work 40 hours a week?
Yes.
So normally you work at least 40 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Making $30 an hour?
Yes.
Are you a contract employee, or do they take taxes out?
They take taxes out.
Okay. Do you have insurance available to you through your employer?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how much it would cost for you to put Jasmine on health insurance?
No, ma'am, I don't know.
Okay. Do you have any other minor children right now?
I have a newborn on the way. She's due in the beginning of July.
Okay, so you have a baby that's due within a month?
Yes, ma'am. Within 2
Will
weeks.
that baby be living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What are you asking as far as visitation?
I'm asking to have at least 50-50 with her. Go 50-50. I see her half of the time, and her mother gets her half of the time.
When was the last time you saw her?
About 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay. And have you ever had her overnight by yourself?
Yes. Usually, whenever I get off of work, I've been working Saturdays lately, and my mom goes to pick her up, which is her grandma. She goes to pick her up on the Fridays most of the time, and by the time I get back Saturday, she'll be there with us, and I'll have we'll
So you-
play everything
You
like that.
see her with your mom at your mom's house?
Yes, ma'am. Because that's where I currently stay at.
Okay. So all your visitation is being done at your mom's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would pass this
So-
witness.
You call your next witness.
Your Honor, I have no further witnesses.
Mr. Garcia, you said that you have a baby on the way that's due in the next couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
Where does the mom live?
She lives with her mom currently, but right now we're looking for a place to stay.
But right now you don't live together.
No, sir, not yet.
So I can't give you credit for one, because the child's not born yet. Number two, you don't live with the mom.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't work like that. Miss Crump.
Yes.
You said that you and Mr. Garcia have been separated for several months now, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And he's been helping you with the support of the child. Is that also correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. But you believe that Mr. Garcia has some anger issues. Is that also correct?
Yes.
All right. So have those anger issues led you to pick up the phone and call the police because you were in fear for your safety?
Definitely. I called them several times, and there's been time where they have not done anything in my case.
Hmm.
I called them.
Has there been times when they came out to your house?
Yes, there's definitely have been times where they came out to the house.
Is this the time that you and Mr. Garcia were still together, or is this the time after y'all separated?
With them both.
Okay. So since y'all have been separated, you have called the police and they came out and taken a statement from you?
I don't know if they ever took in a statement themselves, but like they mostly like come out, hear both our sides, and I don't know what's the end result, because they never leave without anybody, basically.
Well, I mean, y'all weren't living together, so they wouldn't have came out and arrested anybody at your house, right?
Correct.
Unless Mr. Garcia was over there.
Yes, there's been plenty of time where he's been over here just to kind of hang out with Jasmine.
Okay.
And there's been time where the anger would get out of control.
So he would come over to visit with the child, and even in those situations, he would lose his temper and you'd have to call the police.
Yes.
And then the police came to your house and they talked to you and to Mr. Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Garcia, let's talk about that. Was there ever a period of time that you were over at Miss Crump's place visiting with Jasmine and the police showed up?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that because you lost your temper?
That, and I called the police multiple times on her also while I was
Why
there.
y'all do that? Why y'all do that in front of the child? What good is that doing?
It's never as calm whenever we're together. That's all I have to say of that. I wish it could be simple as being calm, but it's not.
Well, but y'all aren't together anymore, right?
No.
So y'all just got to try to figure out a way to make this relationship work for Jasmine's purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't got to be together as a couple, but you got to work together as parents, right?
Correct. And I tell him that all the time, Your Honor.
A lot of hollering and screaming.
I wouldn't say all the time. No, I wouldn't say all the time. It's mostly one-sided screaming.
Were there times, Miss Crump, that Mr. Garcia called the police on you?
Who?
Were there times that Mr. Garcia said that he called the police on a couple of occasions to come out and talk to you? Did that happen?
No, not really.
No?
No. Not on me, because there's been time where he called the police, but it wasn't for me.
What was it for?
It was for a different situation that's unrelated to this.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Maybe a third party involved.
Yes, there was a third party.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe like a boyfriend?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
A family member?
Yes, a brother.
Okay. So is it safe for me to assume that Mr. Garcia and some members of your family don't get along real well?
No, I got into an alteration
I
with
didn't
my
ask you,
brother.
Mr. Garcia. I asked Ms. Crump.
I got into an alteration with my brother.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
All right.
the cause and effect was Mr. Garcia talking about me in inappropriate ways to my brother.
Okay.
And
All right.
my brother soaked it in and just decided to fight me about it.
Okay. Ms. Crump, you understand that you and Mr. Garcia are no longer in a relationship?
Yes, I understand that.
Mr. Garcia, you understand that you and Ms. Crump are no longer in a relationship?
Yes, sir.
Then y'all get over it. I got a 3-year-old child here that needs her parents.
I agree.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Garcia?
Yes, sir.
That's what I want to hear. All right. Now, right now, Mr. Garcia, you're living with your mother.
Yes, sir. At the moment, yes.
So your contact rights with Jasmine are coming through your mother because that's where you live.
Yes, sir.
You have some intention of finding someplace else to live shortly?
Yes, sir. I'm in the process of doing that right now.
Now, how long have you been in the process of doing that?
For about a month now.
I mean, your girlfriend is currently 8 months pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I've been looking for it, but I don't have time on the weekends. I only got really Sundays off now, so.
all right.
And there's nobody out there.
How long have you and your girlfriend been talking about moving in together?
About 3 or 4 months now.
Okay. All right. That's not that long. Yeah, that's not that long. All right. So, Miss Crump, I got to give Mr. Garcia contact rights with Jasmine. You understand he's the father?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes? You understand?
Yes, I understand.
All right. What kind of contact rights do you want him to have?
Well, we was before this, we was agreeing on maybe 2 weeks with me and 2 weeks with him, and
Okay.
I thought that was ideal.
All right. Well, I can't do that. You understand?
Okay. Yes, I understand.
If I can give him standard possession,
Can you clarify?
I'm not a week on, week off kind of judge.
Okay.
I don't like those arrangements.
Okay.
All right. How far apart do y'all live?
Right now it's probably like 5 minutes apart.
Okay.
But I am moving soon,
Where?
and I'll be like an hour apart soon.
Where are you gonna move to?
Livingston, Texas.
Well, you gonna tell Mr. Garcia about it?
Yes, I did notify him.
All right. I mean, that might make it more difficult to do week on, week off, but I mean, if the child's still young, so you should be able to make that work for at least for a time. You know, you're not going to be able to do that once she starts school.
Yes, we was also agreeing like once she starts school, we were thinking like, I don't know if that was smart of us, but we were thinking 1 year with me, 1 year with him.
Hey, I wish y'all luck on that.
Okay.
Jasmine may go along with that for the first couple of years, but eventually she's going to get tired of it.
Okay.
Kids want to be in a school where they get to stay with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to make friends and then leave them for a year and then come back and make them again.
Okay.
It's not the best arrangement in my opinion, but I'll leave y'all to the parents. Y'all get to make that up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Garcia, you said you got health insurance through your job?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been on this current job? How long have you been with this company?
I was with this company before. I just recently got back with them. It's Beaumont Contractors. I've been with them since about September now.
Who were you with before that?
It was Patriot Contractors.
So you do construction work?
Yes, sir.
Do you change jobs a lot?
No, sir.
I mean, I understand. I'm from a construction family. I've lived in this area my whole life.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you got to chase the jobs wherever they are.
Yeah.
I mean, how many different companies did you work for last year, 2022?
None. Just Patriot Contractors, just them, and I started working with Beaumont.
Okay. How long were you with Patriot?
Like 3-4 months.
See, that kind of tells me that you switch jobs a lot because you're chasing the work.
Well,
And that's okay.
I was off.
That's what construction is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Nah, that changes things a little bit. Mr. Garcia, is there anything else you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
Is there like any way that, because she's with the guy, is there some way I can meet this guy? Because I know he's been around my daughter. No,
Were you and Miss Crump married at the time this child was born?
no, sir.
Then you ain't got no rights in regards to her lifestyle.
Yes, sir.
Just the way it is. You know, I'm all for a non-traditional situation. I love it. I think it's great. But you can't have a non-traditional situation, Mr. Garcia, and then come back behind that and ask for a traditional situation. That don't work.
Yes, sir.
No. Miss Crump, I'd love to give you what you asked for anger management. The problem is I ain't got anybody that's going to pay for it. You understand?
There's not, he can't pay for it himself. Like as far as just,
I haven't heard any testimony that he's ever been arrested or convicted of any type of family violence.
there is a bunch of things that I submitted with as far as him.
Well, but he hadn't been charged. I mean, he hadn't been
Well,
charged. He hadn't gone to jail. He hadn't had to make a bond.
Yeah, but like the cop, they never, that's on their end because I always told them like, take him, and they never
Well,
did.
I have a different opinion about that, Miss Crump.
Uh-huh.
If the police didn't charge Mr. Garcia with anything, that leads me to believe that they didn't think that there was enough there to charge him, or they didn't think they had enough evidence to file a charge against him. Okay. I have a whole lot of faith in my local police departments. Maybe more than I should, but that's just the nature of who I am. I'm not going to order any anger management because I'm not in a position where I can order it paid. If Mr. Garcia eventually gets charged with some type of family violence or assault crime, I'm sure they'll put him in anger management.
Yeah, I'd rather make sure that my daughter is safe before, because there has been questionable times where.
Miss Crump, didn't you just tell me that you were willing to go 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off with Mr. Garcia?
But yeah, I thought it was.
Why would you ever agree to go 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off,
entitled.
Miss Crump, if you didn't think the child was going to be safe?
Well, there's been questionable times. I thought it was as an entitled thing that I'm supposed to do that. But
no, there's no law, no rule that says you got to do week on, week off, or 2 weeks on or 2 weeks off. But just the fact that you tell me that you are willing to allow Mr. Garcia to have possession of your child for that long a period of time leads me to believe that you don't have any fear for her when she's in his possession. Otherwise, you would have never said that. I'm just a judge, Ms. Crump. My job is to listen to what it is that people tell me and then make rulings based on what you just said. What you said was, I want you to put him in anger management because I don't trust him.
I did not say that. I asked if I could request anger management for his end. That's all.
Right. As
far as requesting it, I'm not saying like, can you please put him in anger management?
Okay.
Can you request it? But
Okay.
if you can't, that's fine. We can move forward.
All right. I'm just making sure. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Of course, going to find the courthouse jurisdiction. Of course, going to find based on the testimony of the parties. It is certainly in Jasmine's best interest to name the parties as joint managed conservators, with the mother, Miss Crump, as the primary custodian. She'll have the right to establish the primary residence of the child. Mr. Garcia will have visitation at any and all times mutually agreed to by the parties, if no mutual agreement, and then at least standard possession. I'm going to order Mr. Crump to maintain the current health insurance that she has on the child. Mr. Garcia is working construction. I know how that is. I'd love for him to have health insurance on this child and his newborn that's coming up. But if he switches jobs every 6 or 7 months, he's not going to be able to keep that in place. And therefore, based on my calculations, I'm going to find that child support in this case is going to be $725 a month, beginning the 1st of July, 2023. And he's going to pay an additional $145 a month in cash medical. That'll also be July the 1st of 2023. There'll be no retroactive child support in this case. Any request for non-disclosure is denied. Does that take care? Oh, court costs by December 31st of 2023, paid by Mr. Garcia. Anything further in regards to this case, Ms. Brown-Zito?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Crump and Mr. Garcia, what's going to happen now is Ms. Brown-Zito's office is going to send me an order. As long as it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it, get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
All
Okay.
right. Hey, no matter what y'all hear, what y'all may think, what I see are two good parents. That's what I see. I
Okay.
Yes,
see
sir.
two good parents that want to do what's right for Jasmine and make sure Jasmine is safe. I hear what you're saying, Miss Crump. I know you want her to be safe, and I think she will be safe. Okay.
Okay.
I think if nothing else, y'all just need to, whatever these issues are between the two of you, and I know anybody that's been together as long as y'all have are gonna have some unresolved issues. You're just gonna have to figure out a way to do like what Miss Crump said. Put that behind you, put it past you, and do what's in Jasmine's best interest to get her raised right. And I think y'all are both capable of doing that.
Yes, sir.
Did you say
All right.
yes, Miss Shaw?
Yes, sir.
I did.
I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
You're all right. Your voice wasn't coming through. Y'all can all put your hands down. Your case has been called, Miss Simone. You can call your first witness.
Thank you, Judge. Before I call my first witness, I'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the prior order in this case.
The court will take judicial notice of its own file.
Okay, and at this time, the state will call Miss Liddell. And how old are your children?
Stella is 7 and William is 5.
And back in 2018, Mr. Hopkins was ordered to pay you $495 a month in child support and $110 in medical support. Does that sound right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how are your children presently covered for health insurance?
They are currently still on Medicaid. I make below the threshold, and we just decided to keep them on that for the time being.
Okay. And did you have insurance available through any other source?
I do have it available through my job, and he has it available through his.
Okay. What would be the cost through your job? Do you know?
I want to say, yeah, I don't have the exact number, but I think it would be something about, I want to say about $1,200 for myself and the 2 kids, I think is what I figured.
That would be a monthly cost?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go ahead and pass this witness.
Okay, call you next week.
We'll call Mr. Hopkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you presently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
And who do you work for?
KDSI Trucking, the same
and
as back in 2018.
Okay, so how long have you worked there?
It's 2018.
Okay. And are you paid hourly or a salary?
Hourly.
Okay. And how much are you paid per hour?
$24.86, I believe. I had submitted document whenever y'all had subpoenaed me last year. I had turned in all my pay stubs at the time, and it hasn't changed to my knowledge.
Okay. And do you work 40 hours per week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you work any overtime?
Occasionally, yes, ma'am. It just varies from week to week, and sometimes there is some, sometimes there's not.
Okay. And did you have any health insurance available through your job for your children?
Not at the time whenever I first started, but it's something that they've implemented within the last year. And I don't know off the top of my head how much extra it would cost to add them to mine.
Okay.
But if it's information y'all need, it's something that I can get and submit to y'all if y'all need that.
Okay. And did you also have dental insurance available through your job?
Dental, no, ma'am.
And do you have any other biological children under the age of 18?
Not to my knowledge, no, ma'am.
Okay. I'll go ahead and pass this witness.
Call your next witness.
I have no further witnesses.
So, Mr. Hopkins, you have health insurance, but you don't have dental?
Yes, sir. As far as I'm aware, we don't have dental.
Interesting. Thought they kind of phased all those plans out.
It's set up through the company I work for, sir. Where they just said, here's the packages and what you can pick, and work covers so much of it, and some of it comes out of my pocket.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Miss Liddell, is there anything else you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
No, sir.
Mr. Hopkins, is there anything else you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
No, sir.
I mean, you understand, Mr. Hopkins, you're just making more money now than you were before.
Yeah, yes, sir. I thought it had been changed previously, and I was paying $600 and something now, because that's what my check stub show that they take out like $100 and something, and it was more than four something. I thought we had a previous hearing after 2018.
No, your child support in the past was $495 plus $110. How often you get paid?
Once a week, sir. I could just been misunderstood what it was whenever they explained everything, which is very possible.
Yeah, they're supposed to be taking about 140 a week out of you right now.
Yes, sir. I think that is what it's at. Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, I got to raise it. You're making more money now than you were before.
Oh, I don't have any complaints. I'm fine with that. I just didn't know. I thought I was saying previously, I thought when we had a discussion with the Attorney General's office before, I thought they had already raised it once. I wasn't aware that they hadn't done that.
Well, they generally have to have my signature on something before they're allowed to just start adjusting the child support. In the state of Texas, it requires a judge's signature before they can adjust it.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate it.
Maybe I just misunderstood whenever you just explained that extra 100 and something that was on top of it. So I guess that's where I figured it wrong.
All right. The court's going to find, the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find based on the testimony of the parties, there's certainly been a material substantial change of circumstance. Mr. Hopkins making more money now than he was in 2018 when I set the child support then. So the child support needs to be adjusted. And I'll find that based on the testimony of Mr. Hopkins, because he's the one that told me how much he makes, child support is going to be increased to $865 per month, plus an additional $150 a month in cash medical. I'll order Ms. Liddell to maintain the health insurance. I thought about ordering Mr. Hopkins to maintain the health insurance on the kids, but he doesn't have dental. It's just do one of one and one of another. It just kind of makes things confusing, and I don't like confusion. I like it to be simple. So both payments will begin July the 1st of 2023. Court cost by Mr. Hopkins is going to be due by December 31st of 2023. 1 second, y'all. Let me add up something else.
Could you tell me those two numbers again, Your Honor?
And I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to tell you what it is a week.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
It's going to go up to $234.23 a week, Mr. Hopkins.
$234.26, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. What was you said that court cost thing was due by, is that something I pay separate, or how do I take care of that?
You actually owe that to the Hardin County District Clerk's Office.
So I can just come down to the courthouse and pay it?
Yes, sir, or you can just mail it to them.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. See, what's going to happen is Miss Simone's going to send me an order. If it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. They're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you. Contained within that court order, Mr. Hopkins, is the directions for how you can contact the district clerk's office in Hardin County and pay the court costs that I've assessed to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do you know how much that is?
No idea.
No idea. Okay. Gotcha.
I'm in 9 different counties, Mr. Hopkins. I could never
yes.
try to keep up with each one charges different amounts. So I'm
yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. You have any questions, Mr. Hopkins?
I do not. No, sir.
Ms. Liddell, you got any questions?
I do have one. I don't know if it's something that you would know the answer to, or if somebody else on the line would. Randomly, I do receive something from the Attorney General saying that Mr. Hopkins has paid more than what he, I don't remember the legal wording, but more than what he was supposed to pay. And it says that it's held. Like it's dispersed to me.
That's okay. I can't help there, Miss Liddell. The AG's office is the sole proprietor of how money gets distributed. I have no authority or jurisdiction, and therefore I don't have any idea how their inner workings are. You always have the right to reach out to them, Miss Liddell, and ask that question. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Miss Liddell?
No, sir.
And whoever that little munchkin was that was hiding behind you for half this hearing, they are too cute to be showing up in my Zoom hearings. I'm assuming that's one of yours, Mr. Hopkins?
Yes, sir. That's Stella.
Well, she's awful cute, and she's very photogenic. She's not allowed to ever show up another one of my Zoom hearings because I cannot focus on what you guys are trying to tell me with all that cuteness behind you, Miss Liddell.
She was trying to show off her kitten.
Yeah, I know.
I believe it'll be just the parties.
All right. Your case has been called. You can call your first witness.
Thank you. The state would call Miss Chatham. Miss Chatham, would you state your full name for the court's record, please?
Brittany Nicole Chatham.
And do you have any safety concerns with your personal information being in today's court order?
Yes, I would like it to not be put out there, please.
And who are you concerned with having this information?
Colby Milner.
All right. And why are you concerned about him having this information?
Because I've received some threats and it's been a lot.
And when is the last time that he made a threat?
I've been told that it was a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Hold on, wait. You've been told he didn't make the threat directly to you?
Well, no, the last time he made a threat to me, it was before I had the baby.
Okay. You can't tell me stuff that other people have told you, Miss Chatham, that whatever the information has to come directly to you from Mr. Milner, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Miss Chatham.
When is the last time that Mr. Milner directly made a threat to you?
I would say it would be, I would say June of last year.
And when he made that threat to you, did you have to call the police?
I didn't, but the hospital was there and they have it all on record.
Okay. Have you ever had to call the police with an instance of threats with Mr. Milner?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you currently have concerns for your fear. Do you have concerns or fears for your personal safety?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Mr. Milner know where you presently live?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell me what is the name of the child we're here for today?
Victoria Blake.
When was Victoria born?
June 28, 2022.
And how old is Victoria?
She is 11 months, about to be 12.
Okay. And do you and Victoria both live together in Hardin County?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Victoria's father?
Colby Milner.
Okay, this time the state will move for the admission of the acknowledgement of paternity for Victoria as State's Exhibit A.
Miss Chatham, I've just placed on the screen a copy of the alleged acknowledgement of paternity on behalf of Victoria. Is it okay if I look at this acknowledgement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Milner, same question. Can I look at Victoria's acknowledgement of paternity?
Yes, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit A is admitted into evidence.
Were you and Mr. Milner ever in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
And did the two of you ever live together?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did that relationship end?
May of 2022.
Is that when the two of you stopped living together?
No, we stopped living together December of 2021.
All right. And since Victoria was born, has Mr. Milner been providing financial support?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are you asking the court for any back child support today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And who does Victoria live with?
Me.
And how long has she lived with just you?
Since she was born.
And who makes the important decisions for her?
I do.
And who makes the day-to-day decisions for her?
I do.
Are you and Mr. Milner able to co-parent?
No.
When did Mr. Milner last see Victoria?
It was a couple weeks after she was born.
Okay. And what is his relationship like with her?
It's non-existent.
Okay. And what safety concerns do you have with visitation?
Well, I don't know if I have any. I'm not comfortable like leaving her around anybody, and she doesn't really know him that well.
So has Mr. Milner ever kept Victoria overnight for a visit?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And if the court were to order any type of supervised visit today, are you able to supervise those visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you want you're asking the court to keep your address out of the court order, but where would you want the visits to be?
I can do anywhere in a public place. I just don't want to be like at my house or at his house.
Okay. And how is Victoria covered for health insurance?
She has Medicaid.
Okay, I'll go ahead and pass this witness.
Call your next witness.
We'll call Mr. Milner. And were you ever in a relationship with Miss Chatham?
Yes, ma'am.
And did the two of you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you guys stop living together?
Back in December, we were in California and we moved back down here to Texas.
December of which year?
If I'm not mistaken, it was 2021.
Okay. And that was before Victoria was born.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And since Victoria was born, have you provided any financial support for her?
I've tried to reach out and give gifts, to give money or give anything, which I do have all the receipts for. But I've been blocked by everybody. I haven't been able to provide for my daughter.
Hey, who does Victoria live with?
Brittany Chatham.
Okay. And who makes the major life decisions for her?
Brittany Chatham.
And who makes the day-to-day decisions?
Brittany Chatham.
And how often do you see Victoria?
I do not.
Okay. Have you ever seen her?
It was about a week and last time I seen her was July 9th, 2021. That's the last day I've seen.
The last time you saw Ms. Chatham or the last time you saw Victoria?
Victoria.
Victoria. Did you say 2021?
I'm so sorry. I meant 2022.
Okay. And have you ever had Victoria overnight for visits ever?
No.
No. Okay. Are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
And where do you work?
I work at Industrial Pipe and Valve here in Arthur.
Okay. And how long have you worked there?
I've been working there since December 28th, 2021.
Okay. And are you paid hourly or a salary?
Salary.
Salary. And how much are you paid monthly?
Monthly, I'm gonna say about 32.
Is that 3,200?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. And do you have health insurance available through your job?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you presently have Victoria enrolled in that?
No, ma'am. I've been blocked off from her information.
Do you know what the cost to enroll a child in your insurance would be?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Does your job offer dental insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any other biological children under the age of 18?
No.
No? Okay. I'll pass this witness.
So I have some questions. Miss Chatham, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Miss Chatham, you real quick and briefly mentioned something about records from the hospital. Was there an incident at the time that Victoria was born?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what happened?
Okay, so after I had her, I went into the recovery room and it was me, my brother, my best friend, and Colby and my mom.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to bring people that I wasn't like comfortable coming in there with, bringing them in there because I was breastfeeding at the time and I didn't feel comfortable. And so I told him not to, and then he tried to bring them. And then my brother went in the hallway and was like trying to calm him down and stuff and saying, don't bring him in there. And so I called our nurse, my nurse, and I told her that I didn't want them coming back. And he tried to push through my best friend to get into the door.
Okay.
So he got out of the hospital.
Okay.
And had to be escorted out by the police.
So that wasn't anything in regards to you. It was something in regards to your best friend.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there, since that time, has there been any incidents between you and Mr. Milner in regards to him making threats to you?
No, he's been blocked from my phone, so he couldn't.
Why? Why'd you block him?
Because he kept he would call me dumb and stuff, and then he would be rude because I couldn't drive to see him, so I had to go off my mom's schedule, and so I would tell him that, and he didn't like it.
So basically, because of the hostile relationship between you and Mr. Milner, you just didn't have any contact with him.
Yes, Your Honor. And I tried to get my mom to talk to him. I let my mom talk to him to let him know when we could meet him and stuff, and he didn't like that.
Okay. Is that true, Mr. Milner? You didn't like going through somebody else to try to make arrangements to see Victoria?
No, sir. So, actually I did. I was very grateful for them to meet me. It's just my whole problem and I'm sorry, is I'd only get to see her for about 30 minutes a day, like a week. And
yeah,
it's my first child, and as a father, you want to see your kid as much as possible.
No, that's not true. As a father who's not living with their mother, you should take advantage of any little opportunity you get.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't that make more sense?
Yes, sir.
Don't you think it would have been better for Victoria if you'd spent those 30 minutes here and there every couple of weeks or once a week than no time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, real easy to sit back on that now and make that decision, huh? How much time you lost with this child over the last year because you didn't think 30 minutes was enough. That's too bad. You know why it's really too bad, Mr. Milner? Because you're never going to get that time back.
Correct.
Gone now. I can't give it back to you. I don't blame just you, Mr. Milner, but it is a choice, right?
Yes, sir.
And you know who suffered for that?
I did.
Victoria. Now, that was your choice. You made that decision. Victoria's the one who suffered.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Chatham, are you afraid of Mr. Milner?
I am, but it's
Even
just
though you
it's
haven't had any contact with him in over a year?
I just don't. I know how he gets when he gets mad, and he's told people a bunch of stuff. And he told me a bunch of stuff while I was pregnant. Like he told me to kill myself while I was pregnant, and that nobody would care.
So he just says a lot of ugly words.
Yes, Your Honor.
I understand that. I can't grant you non-disclosure. You don't have a history of family violence, Miss Simone.
Understood.
Mr. Milner, is there any reason why you can't meet Miss Chatham somewhere for the exchange of the child?
No, so there's no. I've actually tried to reach out to see, and I just.
I mean, she doesn't want you to come to her house.
Yes, sir. That's perfectly fine. I can meet in a public place or just.
I can't grant the non-disclosure, but I would like for y'all to try to get to know each other again, to at least be able to be civil to one another for the exchanges of the child. Miss Chatham, you do understand that I'm going to make you responsible for the supervised visits, yeah?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, I mean, it would be easier if it was at your home, Miss Chatham, but I'm perfectly fine with setting it at a park. What city do you live in, Miss Chatham?
In Coops.
Ma, you got your power back on?
Not yet. We're in a hotel. We've been in a hotel since Sunday.
Look at y'all. And still you called in and stayed on the phone for your Zoom hearing all day. That's pretty festive. I'll give you credit for that. All right. The only thing I got really to think about here is the visitation. The rest of it I pretty much got worked out.
Okay.
Victoria's going to be 1 in a couple weeks, huh?
Yes, sir.
June 28th.
Yep.
Miss Chatham, normally I would do what's called a phased in visitation schedule. There's 4 phases during this schedule with a certain number of visits during each phase. You following with me so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the first phase would be Mr. Milner's supervised visits. That would be 4 hours on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Saturday of each month, where he and you would meet somewhere and he would be able to exercise supervised visits with you watching the visitation.
Okay.
All right. So how many times do you think I should order Mr. Miller's visitation to be supervised in that manner for that 4 hours every other Saturday?
I would like it until he could pass a drug test.
No. You gonna pay for the drug test?
I will.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to make it as a condition of visitation. I'm not aware of, haven't heard any testimony at this point in time that Mr. Milner has some type of drug problem. And that's probably should have been brought up before now. Mr. Milner, you have to take regular drug tests with your job that you got now?
No, sir, I don't, but it's no problem for me to take one.
Well, I'm not going to order it. I can't, I don't have the way to enforce it.
Yes, sir.
Right. It's amazing to me. Never mind. I've preached enough at young couples today. I don't need to be preaching anymore. No, Miss Chatham, I'm not going to order drug testing. How many times, Miss Chatham, do you think that Mr. Milner's visitation should be supervised?
I would like it just until she's comfortable with him.
And
Like,
how old and how long is it going to take a 1-year-old before that 1-year-old can tell me that she's comfortable visiting with her father?
maybe 5 or 6 times.
See, that is so reasonable, Miss Chatham.
Well, thank you.
Because my original knee jerk when you said that was a 1-year-old's never going to be able to tell me when she's going to feel comfortable. I'm actually going to go a little longer than that, but I appreciate that. And the only reason, there's a simple reason why I'm going to go longer. I'm going to go longer because Mr. Milner has had no contact with the child.
Yes, I understand.
So, and through no fault of his own. I'm not blaming you, Mr. Milner. Okay. I believe it or not, all I look for in this situation is what I think is in Victoria's best interest.
Thank you.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Milner, is there anything else you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
No, sir. I would just like to see my daughter.
I can't fix what's happened for the last year, but I can fix it starting moving pretty soon.
Thank you.
Of course, going to find the courthouse jurisdiction. Of course, going to find based on the testimony of the parties. I do need something else. Miss Chatham,
Yes, sir.
you live in Kuntz. What's the name of the big park in Kuntz?
I am not sure. We normally go to Lumberton.
You go to
If we-
Lumberton, the
Yes,
one
sir.
on 421?
I'm not sure where.
The big city park outside of Lumberton on 421 going towards Sour Lake?
Yes, sir.
There you go. That's the Lumberton City Park. Are you okay with driving there for the exchange and the visitations?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. I think that's pretty good. I like that. And the court's going to find the court's jurisdiction. The court's going to find based on the testimony of the parties, it is certainly in Victoria's best interest to name the parties as joint managed conservators of the child, with Miss Chatham as the parent with the right to establish the primary residence of the child. I believe that Mr. Milner should have visitation with this child. The age of the child, however, does dictate that there should be some phased in visitation. I'm going to order a standard 4-phase visitation schedule with 8 visits at each phase, Miss Simone. That means there's going to be 8 supervised visits by Miss Chatham. Those will always take place at the Lumberton City Park. And you just put it right in the order that way, Miss Simone, the Lumberton City Park. Everybody knows that's the one on 421.
Okay.
There's only one Lumberton City Park. There's many parks in Lumberton, but there's only one Lumberton City Park. You know where that is, Mr. Milner?
Yes, sir.
All right. So just when you come, you're coming from Port Arthur?
I live in Groves. Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, you're coming from down southeast?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just come up 69, take a left on 421. You can't miss it.
Perfect.
All right. So all of the visits and the exchange of the child will always take place at the Lumberton City Park. So there'll be 8 visits at each phase. That'll be 8 supervised visits for 4 hours, followed by 8 unsupervised visits for 4 hours, followed by 8 unsupervised visits for the day, followed by 8 one-night overnight visits. When those last set of visits are completed, then Mr. Milner will have standard possession. If he does each and every phase the way I've just ordered, it's going to take him about 4 months to do each phase. So in 16 months, Mr. Milner should have standard possession if he's done all of the phases the way I've directed him to do. Any request for non-disclosure is denied in this case. I am actually going to order Mr. Milner to carry this child on his health insurance. I gave him $160 a month. toward the health insurance and $40 a month toward the dental insurance. Based on my calculations, Mr. Milner's child support is going to be $500 per month to Miss Chatham. I am going to grant retroactive child support, but I'm not giving the whole 11 months. It's going to be $2,500 in retroactive child support. That'll be paid back at a rate of $30 a month. All payments beginning July the 1st of 2023. Court costs by December 31st. Does that take care of all the issues in this case, Ms. Simone?
Yes, sir, it does.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Simone, about the form?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Chatham and Mr. Milner, what's going to happen now is the state's going to send me a copy of the order as long as it matches what I said here today and dictated to them. I'll sign it and get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you, okay?
Perfect.
Ms. Chatham, you got any questions?
I don't think so. I do breastfeed though. Is that?
Well, see, the wonderful thing about it is, Ms. Chatham, he's not even going to have full day visits for 4 months. And at that point in time, if you want to continue to breastfeed, then you'll just have to provide him with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Yes,
just, I mean, it's just how that it goes. I mean, I would encourage you to breastfeed for as long as you can. But if you want him to be able to take advantage of your mother's milk, then you'll have to make sure that he has it during that day when he has the child unsupervised. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good question though. Mr. Milner, do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. So when would my first visitation take place?
Nothing starts until July the 1st.
July the 1st.
Yes, sir. It'll take the state a couple of days to get me the court order and back to them, then get it out and mailed to you. Now, it would be great if you and Miss Chatham could stay in contact with one another and get all that done. Miss Chatham, you are going to have to unblock him from your phone.
Yes, sir. I know.
I mean, he's going to have your child. Miss Chatham, you also said something about drugs. I'm going to tell you this about drugs, okay?
Mhm.
You're a responsible parent, and I think that Mr. Milner has the ability to be a responsible parent. And there's no way, Miss Chatham, that I would ever expect you to release your child into somebody's arms that you think is currently under the influence of drugs. Are we clear so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
I just want you to know, Miss Chatham, that if you take it upon yourself solely to deny visitations to Mr. Milner based on the fact that you think he's on drugs, be prepared for the fact that Mr. Milner could go out and hire an attorney and have you jailed for denying his visitation. So be prepared to stand by your conviction that you think he's on drugs, okay?
Okay.
I mean, that's just the nature of it. I would never allow my child to go with someone that I think is under the influence of drugs, but I would make sure that I was pretty damn solid in my belief, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Understand this, Mr. Milner, that in Hardin County, Texas, if it were to be determined or found out that you were using drugs, and I'm not saying you do, so don't defend yourself, that if you were using drugs at the time that you had this baby in your possession, I guarantee you that the judge above me would stop your visitation rights immediately, okay?
Sure. Yes, sir.
All right. I appreciate you both being here today. You're both free to go.